Hello and welcome to this Introduction to Power BI Desktop course. My name is Ahmed Oyelowo. Power BI is a Microsoft tool for business intelligence and data analytics. It takes the game of data analytics to a whole new level. You can go from your raw data to insights within a couple of minutes. It comprises of a desktop tool for authoring, an online service for sharing, and a mobile app for on-the-go access. This course places focus on the authoring tool, which is the main driver for creating data analytics solutions. The objective of this course is to get you familiar with Power BI Desktop so you can start having some fun with your data as well. You can download Power BI for free from the Office Store if you are using Windows 10. So you just go to Office Store and do a search with Power BI. So when you do a search with Power BI, you see the Power BI Desktop app, which you can download for free. And if you're on any Windows that is less than Windows 10, then you can just go on to the Power BI website at www.powerbi.com. Then you scroll down towards the ending of the page. Under the download section, you see Power BI Desktop. So this is Power BI Desktop, and I'm going to take some time to explain the interface to you. So at the top of the Power BI Desktop, you see 4 tabs: the Home tab, View, Modeling, and Help. Under each tab are a group of commands. You can see, for example, under the Home tab, you see this group for external data, where you have get data, recent sources, enter data, and edit queries. This is basically where everything starts from. You have similar commands like that for every tab within Power BI Desktop. And at the bottom of the page, you are going to see a page tab, which is similar to what you have in Excel as sheet tabs. You can add more page tabs, and you can also hide, and you can as well delete. You can likewise rename the pages. Page 6, right? So if you look to the left of the screen, you are going to see 3 icons, which basically stand for the views we have in Power BI Desktop. So in Power BI Desktop, we have 3 views. If you place your cursor on each of them, you are going to see the name of the views. So this is the report view, which is more or less like your workspace. And this is the data view. For every data you bring into Power BI Desktop, you can have access to see what you have and probably do some kind of mini exploration on the data. And then you have the relationship view, which is where you connect multiple tables together. So we are currently on the report view, which is the default view you have when you open a fresh Power BI Desktop file. If I go to my data view, you are going to see that everything is blank because I have no data brought in yet. Likewise, my relationship view is also going to be blank. So towards the right of the page are 2 panes, the visualizations pane and the fields pane. I'll explain the fields pane first. So the fields pane is where you have a list of your tables and the columns within each table that you have brought into Power BI. And then the visualizations pane is basically where you go to select your chart. You can as well add more visuals from custom. So if I click on these 3 ellipses, I can import custom visuals either from a file if I have it downloaded on my system, or from the marketplace, which is where I can download online from the Power BI website. And I can also delete a custom visual that I have previously brought in. Now under this visualizations pane, I have these 2 buttons. So the first one is the fields button, which is basically for every chart I create, I have to drop fields, right? And beside it is the format. So for every chart I create, I might need to do some kind of formatting on it as well. Probably I would like to increase the text size, or I would like to change the colors, or do some more stuff on the charts. Bringing in data to Power BI is quite easy. All you have to do is come to the Get Data button. Make sure you're on the Home tab. So if I click on the Get Data drop down, I will see various options here, but this is not all. If I click on More, I will see a lot more options, which are numbering over 80 in numbers. And I also have option for Facebook. I have option for folder, which is my favorite, so I can connect to a folder on my system and pull data from there. But we're just going to use Excel for now, so we're going to connect to Excel. I'll click on connect. and I want to bring in this employee data from my system. So first thing, employee data, and I have a single sheet in that workbook. So I'll just check this box and click on edit. So clicking on edits because I would like to do some data transformations and preparations before I go into analysis. So when I click on edit, it takes me to a new environment which is called the Power Query Editor. So if I come to place my cursor on this Power BI icon, you see I currently have two tabs. So I was previously here on the Power BI desktop, but bringing in data and clicking on edit takes me to a whole new environment, which is the Power Query Editor. So Power Query is a very, very powerful ETL tool. ETL stands for extract, transform, and load, which you can use to do a lot of data transformation, and you automate all that process. You can also use it to clean bad data and automate the process as well. And the good thing is you don't need to know how to write any formulas whatsoever. So it uses a language called M for mashup, but you don't need to know that M language, because almost everything you are doing here, 99.9% of what you require to do in Power Query, you can always achieve by clicking on buttons. And for every button you click, the M language is going to be written for you, and you're going to see your steps in this apply steps area that you see to the right. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is let's take a look at this data set to even understand what this data is all about. So this is an employee database basically. So you have the employees' names, employee numbers, you have their states, probably where they work from, you have their date of birth, you have their gender, hire dates, date of termination, reasons for termination, the employment status, are they active, have they been terminated, are they on leave of absence, whatever it is, what is their employment status. Then we have their department and position. So let's say, for example, I would like to have the full name of the employees. So I have first name, I have last name, but I would like to have a separate column that combines both together to give me full name. So what do I have to do? So I basically have to come to the add column tab in Power Query. So I'll click on this add column tab. Then I'm going to select these two columns. Right, so if I just hold my control key, I can select multiple columns at once in Power Query. So I've selected these two columns, and I will see an option for merge columns. So if I click on this merge column option, it's going to ask me what do I want to be the separator. So I want to merge first name and last name together. So what do I want to separate by? So I'm just going to click on this drop down and select space. So separate them by space, and the new column name, I want it to be called full name. Then I'll click OK. Right, so if I scroll to the right, I'm going to see I have a new column called full name. And you might be wondering that the positioning of this column is not nice. You probably want it to be somewhere in the beginning. Yes, Power Query has you covered for that. So I'll just select this column, full name. So if I right click here, I will see an option to move, and I can easily move to the beginning. So if I move this column to the beginning, you still don't like where it is. Probably full name should come after the last name. So I should have first name, last name, then full name. So what do I need to do? I'll just simply drag this full name and place it after the last name. Then probably take this employee number to the beginning. So I'll just select employee number again, right click, and move to beginning. Right, so that's one transformation. And when you will see I have added two new steps. So the first step is the inserted merge column, which is what I did by adding the first name and the last name together. And you see another new step for reordered columns. That is me trying to move my columns around to change their positioning. Now, something else I also like to do is I like to do something on this date of birth. So this is date of birth, but really, maybe I would like to do some analysis that has to do with the age of my employees. So let me add a new column that calculates the ages from their date of birth. So that is going to be really difficult, you think? No. So all I have to do is make sure I'm still under the add column tab, and because this is a date column, you're going to see that this group for date and time is currently active, and I'll just click on this drop down for date and I'll pick age. So when I pick age, it simply adds a new column for me, but this age doesn't really look nice because this is probably counting in days. This is 10,699. That cannot be someone's age. So I'll just right click here and I'll come to transform. So I want to transform this from whatever it is. I want to transform it into total years. So give me the total years, and it's making more sense. So 29.312 years, right? So, but I'm not going to leave it like this. I think it's better for me to round it down. Which is better? Do you round ages up or do you round ages down? So I'll round this down by right clicking here and look for transform. On the transform, I'll see round and I'll select round down. So once I select round down, I have the age for the employees. So let me just take a look around and see if everything is fine. Something you always have to do when you are doing data transformation is to make sure that all your data columns are in the right data types. So for example, if I come to my transform tab and I select a column, I will see the data type for that column here. So this employee number is a whole number. I don't think that's right anyway. Should employee numbers be whole numbers or should employee numbers be texts? Employee numbers should be text. So whatever it is, whether phone number, house number, account number, any kind of number that doesn't make any sense to you when you add them up should not be regarded as numbers, but rather you treat them as text. So I'm going to change this to text, and you see my new step, change type. First name, last name, this is text, that's right. So basically anywhere I see an ABC beside the column headers, I know I have text. And anywhere I see this that looks like a calendar icon, I know it's a date. Right, so everything is looking fine. But let's say, for example, I would like to add a new column that basically calculates the retirement age, the difference of someone's age from the retirement age. For example, if someone is 55 years old and the retirement age is 60, so I want it to give me a 5 that says this person is going to retire in 5 years time. So I'll probably call that column age to retirement. Okay, so I'm going to come to my add column tab again, and I will say custom column. So custom column, the new column name, I want to call it age to retirement. So age to retirement, and the formula is going to be simply 60. Let's say my retirement age is 60, so 60 minus my age. So 60 minus age. I just double click on this age and it quickly picks it and insert it in this my custom formula box. Then I'll click OK, and I have a new column that gives me age to retirement. So if this person is 29 years old, it simply means the person is going to retire in another 31 years time, and this man right here that is 50 years old is going to retire in 10 years time. Now if you look at this, you will see that the column currently has ABC 1, 2, 3, which means, is this really a text or is it a number? So if I come to my transform tab, I will see that it's currently set to any. So it's not set to any particular data type, but I would like to set it to a number. So I can do that right from here by changing this any to whole number. I can simply click on this ABC 1, 2, 3 here and select whole number. So I'm done with all the transformations I think I need for this data, and then I can now load it back to Power BI. But before I do that, I would like to rename this table from core data sets to give it a more meaningful name. So I'll probably call it employee data. Then I'll click on the home tab and close and apply. So you can see now that I have something populated under my fields pane. So I have the employee data table and I have all the columns in that table. Columns are also called fields. I can collapse these and I can expand it back. So if I go to my data view, remember data view? So if I go back to my data view, I would see my table and I can do some kind of exploration, mini exploration like I said. For example, let's say I come to the age column and I would like to see what is the maximum age I have there. I will see I have 51. So the oldest employee I have is 51 years old and the youngest employee I have is 23 years old. So you can do some kind of mini exploration on the data view, and if you come to the relationship view as well, you will find that I have a single table there. So any table I import, basically I'll be able to find that table in my relationship view. So if I need to create some kind of connection between two or more tables, I can easily do that from here. And if I come to data view, I will also have my tables. If I have more than a table here, for example, all I'll need to do is come to the fields pane and select the table I would like to see, and I'll have it appear in here. So let's go back to our workspace, which is the reports view, and create a very quick chart. So for example, I would like to see, let's say I would like to see the total number of employees I have in my company. So if you like to display a single number, so what kind of chart do you think is best to use to display just a single number? So in Power BI, you should use a card. So if you are displaying a single number, just pick a card. So I'm going to pick a card, and what I want to do is I need to count the number of employees I have in this company. So I'll basically come to look at the field, and I want to see which field do I think can give me the right answer for that. So I think I should use the employee name. Okay, so I should use the full name. So if Power BI goes and counts all the names in my table, that should give me the number of employees that I have. So I will just basically select this full name. So when I click full name, you see it just gives me a name. It just gives me a name. That means it's not doing the count. So I have to come to my fields pane and do some settings. So if I come to fields pane, you see while it's returning Abiola Chukwuemeka for me is because it's returning the first name it finds on the table based on alphabetical order. So I can easily change what this is doing by clicking on this little drop down arrow, field list drop down. So click on this little drop down arrow, and you see because it's currently picking first, I want to change it to count. So when I change it to count, you see it returns a proper number for me, which is count of full name. I can resize this my card. So count of full name, I don't think that is a proper explanation. So I can rename this count of full name to number of employees, right? So I'll just double click here and change it to number of employees. So if I change it to number of employees, I can also right click here and select rename. So if I don't want to double click, I could right click and select rename instead. So 301 employees. But if you remember from my data, you will see that some employees are active and some other employees are inactive. So if you check the fields pane, you will see I have something. After these fields, you will see filters. And there are basically two types of filters. There is a visual level filter and there is a page level filter. So this time around, I would like to use the visual level filter to filter this, my number of employees, to show me only active employees. So I'll basically have to go bring in my, what column is that? employment status column. So this is employment status. So I'll drag this employment status and put this under the visual level filters, and then I can scroll down and just pick only the active, right? So I'll just check the box for active, and I have 174. So 174 active employees. Now I may want to see the number of employees per location. So let's say I'll bring in a table for that. So this is a table. So I'll click on this. So I'm bringing a table for that. And what I want is I want to report the number of employees per state, right? So the first thing I'm going to click on this states. So clicking on state lists out all the states for me. Then what I've been using to count my employees is the full name. Then I'll click on full name, right? So when I click on full name, it simply lists out all the names of all my employees and their states. But remember, I can change the settings for that field. So I'm going to come here and change the settings for this field by clicking on this little drop down, and I'll select count. So all I want is a count of employees. So if you check the total, you will see it is still 301. But remember, I need to go and do what? Come to the filters, visual level filters, and filter it by employment status. But I'm not going to use visual level filters anymore, since I think all my reports on this page are going to be based on only active employees. So once and for all, I'm just going to drag this employment status to page level filters. So once I drag the page level filters, every visual I drop on this page is going to be filtered by active employees. So all my reports are going to be filtered based on active employees. And say this is not really visible, so I'll basically need to increase the font size of the text. So to do that, you have to make sure the chart is selected. So I'll make sure this chart is selected. Then I'll come to this brush icon, which is for format. So when I click on this brush icon for format, I can just do a search for size or text. So I'll do a search for size, and it will give me everything, every option that has size in there. So for the grid, I want to change the size from 8. I'm going to change it to 11. So when I change it to 11, I'll just expand this table a little bit, and you can see I now have it well sorted out, except that let's say I would like to report this is currently reporting based on alphabetical orders, which is fine. Abia first before Adamawa. But for reporting sake, it might also be necessary that we have this listed out in order of numbers. So the highest number first and the lowest number last. So to do that, I'm basically going to come to this heading, and I'll see this little drop down arrow on this heading. So I'll just click on it to change the sort order. So once I click on it, you see the sort order has changed, and I know that Abia has the highest numbers and Lagos is next. Akwa Ibom is right after that, right? So something else I can decide to do is to change the color of my headings. So to do that as well, you don't really need to go too far. All you have to do is make sure your chart is selected, then come to the format option here and go into the search pane and type color. So type color, and you see everything that has to do with the color. So this is grid color. So but I want to color the headers. So I'll come to column headers, and I want to change the color. Let me put the background color as black and the font color as white. But hold on, I don't really like that. So something you can also do is to come to the themes. So I want to change my coloring theme. I like to use the twilight theme. So I'm going to change to this twilight theme. So it basically changes the default colors I have within my Power BI desktop. So I can go back and select this chart, come back to format, or okay, so just type in color here. Type in color, then I'll go to my column header. So the background color, I'll say, let me give you this color, and then let the white still be for the font color. So now I can see the number of employees I have by states. Okay, so next thing I would like to do is, let's say I want to see the number of employees I have by department. This time around I would like to use a bar chart to display that. Okay, so I will just simply click on an empty area within this white space. So this white space is known as the canvas. So click on an empty area within the canvas and then select my chart. So I'm pulling up a bar chart, and in there I want to report the number of employees by department. So I'm going to check department first. So by default it goes to axis. Then I want to check full name again because I want to count the full names. So if you see, when I check full name, it simply went into legend, so it's not doing any kind of counting. That is because by default Power BI doesn't think it should perform an aggregator operation on names because it's a text field, right? So I will have to manually drag this from legend to value, right? So when I drag into value, it simply returns the counts by default, because the only thing you can do on a text really is to count. So once I do that as well, let me just resize this. You also see that this heading is showing count of full name by department. That doesn't look like a proper heading. So I'll select my chart again, come to formats, and I want to change the heading, or basically the title. So if I scroll down and look for title, I can expand this title and change the text in there from count of full name by department to employee count by department. Employee count by department. I can also increase this text size. So let me give it a 12, 11, 12, and centralize the alignments. Also change the background color to my favorite color and the font color to white. Right, then I think I should also increase the size of this my department, which is on the y-axis. So if I scroll back up and I expand y-axis, I can change the text size from 11 to 12, and I can also change the color from gray to proper black, so it is more visible. Then I can expand this a little bit. Right, so let me add a new card for average age. So I want to see the average age of my employees. So click on a new card, and I'm going to resize this card. Okay, so let it be almost the same size with the other one. And what I want here is the average age of my employees. So I'm just gonna come to check this box for age, and that looks like 6,313. How possible is that? So I'm gonna come to the fields pane and check what the settings for this field is. So if I click on this little drop down, I will see that the default settings is sum, because the column is a numeric column, and by default Power BI just sums it up. So I'm just going to change it from sum to average. So change it from sum to average, and the average age I have in this company is 36.28. So let's also change this name from average of age. So select the charts, come to the fields pane, double click, and change it to average age. Okay, so let's say I would like to see another report, probably by recruitment. So let me see how have we been recruiting over the years. So for that, the best chart to use when doing a report that has to do with timeline is to use a line chart. So I'm going to pull up a line chart here. So I'm going to pull up a line chart, and I want to report the date of hire, That's my axis, date of hire. And I just want for the years alone. So I want to see what numbers have we been recruiting by year. So I'll simply tick off this day, tick off month, and tick off quarter. So I simply have only year. And I want to see the numbers of employees we've been recruiting over the years. So I'll drag in full name again to values. So this gives me numbers as a line chart, but this doesn't look nice. I have 1995, then I have 2000, 2005. Why is it reporting this way? Simply go to the formatting area, and this is my x-axis. So if I go to x-axis, I would see that it's currently reporting as continuous as a number. So it's reporting my years as numbers. So remember what I said? If it doesn't make sense to add two numbers together, then it shouldn't really be a number. So I'm going to change this from continuous to categorical, because year is only a categorical field. And this is how we've been recruiting over the year since 1993 up to 2017. So let's say I would only like to keep the last 5 years in this chart. So I don't want to see all the years. I just want to see what has been our recruitment trend over the last 5 years. So I'll simply come to my fields button again. Then I'll come to my filters. So under my filters, I will see date of hire. So I'll click on this drop down for visual level filters for date of hire. And I'm going to change this to top N. So I just want to see the top 5 years. So just the highest 5 years by date of hire. So by date of hire, it's currently showing as earliest date of hire. So I've just changed this to latest. So by the latest date of hire, show me the latest 5 dates of hires only. Then I'll click apply. So once I do that, I have my last 5 years, 2013, 2014, 15, 16, and 2017. But something is not looking right. My chart doesn't seem to start from 0. So I'll simply come back to my settings, come to the format, and these numbers are on the y-axis. So I go to y-axis, and I will see that the stats is auto, which is basically starting from the list number. So I'm going to change this to 0. So I want my chart to start from 0 so I can have a proper view of how recruitment have been done over the years. So 2014 has the lowest recruitment. From 2015 up to 2017, we've been having onward increase in recruitment. So I'm going to have to change the name of this as well from count of full name by year. So I'll come to look for, what am I looking for? I should come to look for title. So title, I'm going to change this from count of full name by year to recruitment by year. Recruitment by year. Okay. Then let me change the background color to my favorite color and the font color to white. Then centralize it and change the text size to 12. Okay, so this is my recruitment by year. I could make this number show. So to do that, I'll basically select the chart again, and then come to this format, and I'll put on data labels. So it's currently off. I just put it on data labels. Probably increase the size a little bit. So increase the size to 12 as well. So data labels, increase size to 12. Change the color to a proper black. And once I have my data labels on, then I don't really need this y-axis anymore. So I'll go put off the y-axis, put it off, and it looks much more cleaner. Then my x-axis, probably I need to increase this and change the color to proper black as well to make it more visible. So go to x-axis, change the size to 12, change the color to proper black, and I have that. So the next thing I would really like to do is I want to view who are the employees that are going to retire in the next 12 years. So I want to see their names. So I'll pull up a new table. So pulling up a table, and I want the employee's full name in that table. And what I want to see is I need to put in their age to retirement. So age to retirement is showing for everybody, but I really like to see only those who are going to retire in the last, let's say in the next 15 years basically. So I'll come to my visual level filters. Under age to retirement, I'll filter it to say anything that is less than 16. So if it is less than 16, that means it is between 1 and 15. Then I'll apply filter. So this is going to list out the employees that are going to retire in the next 15 years. So this is a list of employees to retire in the next 15 years. So remember, I could sort this to go from, say, lowest to highest. So we'll see who are those that are going to retire earliest. So to do that, I'll come to this heading and then click on this little drop down to change the sort order. So it's currently now sorted from highest to lowest. I'll just click on this again, and the sort order is going to change from lowest to highest. Then I can also increase the size of this table to make it more visible, just like I did for the first one. So go to the format, type in size into the search pane, and increase this to 11, I think. Increase the size to 11. Then I want to change the headings. So clean the size, go to column headers. I want to change the background color to my favorite color. And I want to change the font color to white. Right, so I have this. Then I can simply probably bring this somewhere around here, and bring this around here, and I can add a snapshot. So I can actually add in a text box. Add in a text box, probably I want to call this snapshots of employees data. So snapshots of employees data, and I can increase the font size. Let's make it a 28. Yep. Snapshot of employees data 28. Probably I want to color the background of this my text size. So just select this, the text box rather, then come to background and put it on, and I want to change the background color to this is a black, so let me change it to this color. Right, so transparency is 50%. I'll make it 0. Then I'll come here, highlight my text and change the color to white. Nope, that's not properly done. Highlight this. Ctrl A should do that for me. Then I want to change the color to white. Okay, so snapshot of employees data. So just resize this a little bit, and you have something to work with. Okay.